Remember, you have to feel to heal. So make sure you're giving space to listen to your body. If you're starting to get bits of headaches and illnesses and colds, that's your body saying, whoa, slow down. You need to start to feel to heal. So as you sit here right now, looking ahead at 2025, I just want you to pause and notice what sensations you are feeling in your body. Because when you've experienced narcissistic abuse, you literally can start to feel your whole body bracing, your heart rate increasing, knowing the year ahead that you have. And in today's episode, that's exactly what we're going to be talking about. The year ahead, knowing you still have a narcissist in your life. Hi everybody, my name is Caroline Strawson and I'm a trauma therapist and coach and specialising in working at a nervous system level. And the reason why I do that is when I'd experienced narcissistic abuse and was going through my divorce, I was doing all the traditional things that we're told are meant to be able to help us feel better. I had counselling, I was seeing a psychotherapist, all the usual stuff. Go and talk your problems out, have somebody there. And granted, it helped in the moment because I've got someone listening to me finally and not making me feel stupid. The problem being was it was very, very short term. The moment I walked out of that room and nobody was there to listen and validate my experiences, if something happened or the narcissist said anything, I'd go back to that emotional roller coaster. And that was when I discovered somatic healing, really working at a nervous system level. You see it all over social media now, don't you? The nervous system, trauma. And I kind of knew a little bit about it, but not in the extent that I now know. So I actually completely retrained from being a podiatrist to actually do the work that I do now. Because for me, this was the thing that worked. This was the thing that really helped me start to move forward and not feel like it was Groundhog Day every single day. And I know that's what a lot of the time you can feel like when we approach the start of the year. Now, I know you're listening to this on the 7th of January 2025, because that's when my podcasts go out. They go out every single Tuesday. But I'm actually sat here in my offices this morning. I've driven in. It's chucking it down here in England right now. It's a bit of a grey and miserable day for the start of the year. And everybody in my family was still asleep. I woke up early. I don't drink alcohol, so I felt fine. I got up and I thought, right, you know what? I'm going into my offices because they're still fast asleep because I'm actually moving offices in the next couple of days as well. I'm still staying where I am. It's a beautiful old dairy farm, actually. That's why if you're watching on YouTube right now, you can see lovely brickwork behind me. It's a beautiful place. I'm moving to some bigger offices on the ground floor and want to do more in-person stuff next year as well. So keep your eyes peeled. If you're not following me on social media or in any of my Facebook groups, do make sure, because you guys get to hear first of these things. And so I thought I'd come in and record a couple of podcasts and also start to pack things up as well, because my husband and my son are coming in tomorrow to move everything, and particularly my sound healing equipment like my gong and my sound bowls. They are thousands of pounds worth of stuff, so I need to make sure that they are packed up securely. But I know for you right now, you're listening to this maybe nearly a week after I've recorded it, and you're likely looking ahead at the year. The narcissist has probably said something or done something already, even though it might be the 7th of January onwards. And it can feel that sense of, another year of all of this. And I've been doing some check-in and chats over the festive period where I've literally just come online in a Zoom meeting and people have popped in and asked me questions. And one of the key things that I noticed that had come up, and it's one of the main reasons I wanted to do this one, really knowing it's at the start of 2025, is expectation and hoping when they are going to stop behaving the way that they are. And it's almost like, from a nervous system perspective, we're holding our breath and our body is braced and we're trying to do all of the right things still in the hope that the narcissist will suddenly stop behaving in the way that they have pretty much always behaved, especially if you split up or especially if you start to notice if it's a family member or a friend. And we're waiting for that to happen. And in that waiting, we are flooding our body with cortisol. And then we're wondering why our immune system's down and we start to feel poorly. Because remember, when your body is permanently in a survival response, a trauma response, what happens is your body is purely focusing on survival. That's what we do as human beings. The number one priority is survival and to move away from pain. So if you are in pain and you're feeling like you're in survival mode, you are pumping out cortisol into the body. And your body is prioritizing survival. It's not prioritizing your immune system, your digestive system, all of the wonderful systems that we have in our human body, which is why then very often things start to shut down, break down, and we start to get chronic illness and disease because our body is in a dis-ease because we're constantly in that survival mode. And then we wonder why we start to get colds and coughs and even more serious chronic illnesses too. And that can be very often because we're in these perpetual survival responses, because we're waiting for when they are going to give up, stop behaving like a narcissist, or actually have this epiphany where they realize, oh, I am going to co-parent effective with you. Oh, it has been all my fault and I'm really sorry. I'm going to be nice from now on. And that really came through in a lot of my check-in and chats, that there was this element of hope still. And I get it. We're human beings. We're compassionate human beings. We like to think if we try and explain or we try and be nice, that the other person will see that and they will then act the same. But we're not dealing with just some other person. We're dealing with a narcissist. So it's really, really important as you move into 2025, I want you to shift that lens. I want you to shift that lens away from the waiting and the hoping that they may change and things can go back to being peaceful. The work I want you to do moving into 2025 is actually thinking they are never going to change. They are always going to show up like this. So how do I live my life knowing that? Not the waiting, not the hoping. How do I live my life knowing they're always going to be a pain in the ass? They're always going to be that thorn in my side. How am I going to navigate and regulate my nervous system and my emotions knowing they will not change and they will carry on behaving like this? Because the likelihood is they will. Now, if you come from that lens, what you do is you start to take your own power back, because we're not putting how we feel, the calmness, the peacefulness in a narcissist's hands, that when they're okay, my life will be more peaceful. We have to learn to navigate our life when we've experienced narcissistic abuse. We need to learn to navigate our lives knowing that they are there and still live the best life that we can possibly live. Will there be moments where it's not very nice? Yes, likely so. But in those moments, we need to know it's a moment. And the moment we can start to sit in those sensations and feelings, we can start to down-regulate, because the expectation isn't, oh no, I've taken the 10 steps backwards again. Oh no, he's never or she's never going to change. Because the likelihood is we need to know that knowledge and feel that knowledge and bring that power back to you. What can I do knowing they're never going to change, and really start to understand why I feel the way that I do when they behave like that? Because I know for many of you, you will know that this is not your fault. You will know that you're a nice person. You will know, hopefully, that you kind of are good enough. The problem being is your body tells that different story. So whilst cognitively, from this front part of the brain, our executive functioning, we know these things. We know they are the abuser, but we still struggle to navigate our emotions. This is the key when I talk about the cognitive side of healing, like CBT, like counseling, like going and seeing a psychologist or a psychotherapist. They absolutely have their place, and there are definite exercises that can help you navigate all of this. But certainly for me, my true healing came about when I started to not only look at the thinking side of what I'd experienced, but also the feeling side, completion of survival responses that were still really stuck in my nervous system, causing me to still act and behave and react in those present moments, because I was still running on really some wounded younger parts of me running the show. And whilst I'd start every day thinking, right, they're not going to affect me today, if something happened, boom, my emotions would be really activated and dysregulated. That's why we need to start to understand the feelings. And what so many of us do, when we've experienced narcissistic abuse, we end up living in a highly dissociated response. We're in this perpetual freeze response. We're still functioning the majority of the time. We call this functional freeze. And then as our body wants to try and start to heal, and we start to feel maybe some anger, feel some heightened sensations in our body, it feels like either we're like the perpetrator, we're like the abuser because they're an angry person, and we start to feel angry, but we feel like that's a bad thing in our society. So we put the lid on it again and suppress it back down, and we go back to living in functional freeze. And again, we wonder why we then get poorly. And so many of us who've experienced narcissistic abuse are living in functional freeze with moments of explosive anger, feeling shame of all of that. People will think I'm crazy. People will think I can't cope, and we suppress that back down again. And actually, it's a normal part of healing. Anger is really our bodies showing us that our boundaries have been ruptured, and that's okay. Just because we're angry doesn't mean we have to go and punch someone in the face or kick a wall. And I think that's the problem in our society. We've not been taught how to express and discharge healthy aggression and healthy anger, because it is okay to feel like that. But how do we then express and discharge that cortisol, that anger part of us, without then shifting into a freeze response? So we can have a completion. We can complete that survival response so that our brain and our body knows, okay, timestamp, it's in the past. It's not still locked in your body, driving your emotions and behaviors in the present moment. So there's a couple of things I want you to start to think about as you move into 2025. First thing is, I'm here to help and support you. And the other thing I just want to add, I forgot to add this at the start of the podcast actually, is on Sunday, so if you're listening to this on Tuesday the 7th onwards, on Sunday the 12th of January, so obviously if you're listening to it after that, it's been and gone, but if you want the recording, just drop me an email, hello@carolinestrawson.com. But I'll pop the link in the show notes. I'm hosting a free masterclass. Well, it's really like a workshop it'll be. And I'm going to go through the 3 essential stages to help you heal the trauma, because it is after narcissistic abuse. Now, these are really important stages, and very often people miss 1 or even 2 of those and then wonder why they keep on feeling stuck in this cycle all of the time. You have to work on all 3 stages to really start to step in a healing journey. And actually, these 3 stages are across the board with really any type of trauma that you have. I'm going to be specifically talking about narcissistic abuse, what we've experienced, how we notice that, and what are those 3 essential stages that we need to focus on ourselves to really start to move forward and heal. And I thought this would be a really good one to do at the start of this year to really help and support you. And it's totally free as well. Totally free to come and join me. I always do something at the start of every single year because I know what it's like. We're looking back and thinking, oh my God. And then we're looking ahead thinking, oh my goodness, I don't want another year like that. Well, let me help you. You know, I'm really committed to help you. I know what it is like. I've experienced this myself. I was incredibly stuck for many, many years. And I don't want you to be stuck as long as I have been stuck at all, because there are absolute things that you can do. And very often, sometimes we're not doing the right things for ourselves to really help us start to heal, because the intention is there, but the knowledge isn't necessarily there. So I'll pop that link in the show notes. And even if you can't join me live, do make sure you still register, because I'll send you the recording. It'll be about 90 minutes long, but it'll be really comprehensive. If you've joined any of my masterclasses before, you know I go all in on them, and I always stay afterwards and answer any of your questions too. So whilst the masterclass will be about 60 to 90 minutes, I normally end up staying at least another hour after that too, answering all of your questions. So if you want to come and ask me anything, then do come and join me with that. And it's at 8 o'clock UK time, 3 Eastern, 12 Pacific. So make sure that you put that in your diary and go and register now. But I want you to start as you're moving into 2025. Make a commitment to yourself to start to track your body sensations. So rather than trying to suppress them down all the time and going in this kind of robot mode, functional freeze, every time you start to notice something at an appropriate time, I get it, we're busy, many of us have children too, at an appropriate time, find some space to feel, find some space to listen to what your body is telling you. Because when we do that, we're actually letting our body do exactly what it was designed to do, that we very often, because of our front part of our brain, suppress back down. We're almost going back to survival instincts. If you just allow yourself to feel those emotions, we reach a crescendo. And very often, as we're climbing to that crescendo of our emotions, it feels bad. It feels like we shouldn't be feeling them, or people will think we're crazy, weak, or stupid. So what do? We push those emotions back down. But actually, if we just sat with them, it will reach a crescendo. But at that point, we start to see some completions. We start to shift into some self-energy. We start to find solutions if we give space to feel. Remember, you have to feel to heal. So make sure you're giving space to listen to your body. You know, if you're starting to get bits of headaches and illnesses and colds, that's your body saying, whoa, slow down. You need to start to feel to heal. We were talking in my household over Christmas. All my husband and my two children, they both had stinking colds over Christmas. All three of them have been poorly. And we sat there and said, and all three of them were like, you're never ill. Now, there can be two reasons for that too. One, it's because your body's in a perpetual survival response and it's going, because it's that. And that's that time, you know, when you go on holiday and then you get really ill in the first week, it's like your body knows, okay, now we can prioritize immune system and everything else, okay? So that's certainly not what I'm in right now, but I know many of you can relate to that side, because you might be going, well, Caroline, I've not been ill either. Well, maybe it's because your body is so in a survival response. It's like, don't be ill, survival. Now, on the other side of that, which is where I am, I do so much mindfulness, meditation, breath work, vagus nerve toning, working on myself, taking ownership, taking responsibility, tracking my sensations, giving space to feel, then actually my immune system is in really good shape. Now, I'm saying this now and I'm touching wood because you know what, next week it'll be like, oh my gosh, I've got a stinking cold, right? But I don't think I've had a cold or been poorly. Gosh, I can't remember the last time, and I'm talking years now, And all three of my family members were saying, but you're not ill. The other thing that I do, because I'm a trainer of hypnosis as well, is if I do start to feel a little bit scratchy in my throat or anything like that, I sit and I do some self-hypnosis and produce antibodies in my body. And again, some of you might be thinking, that's rubbish, Caroline. Well, you know what? I haven't been ill for a long time. So the moment I maybe start to notice something, I'm a big believer in we can change our chemistry within our body by hypnosis. So I'm a big advocate of hypnosis, and I know many people get really scared about that, but I use it on myself a lot. And obviously I train people in this work too, you know, and is there something in it? Well, I believe there is. You may have a different opinion, and that's absolutely okay. So I want you to, as you move into 2025, track your sensations. Remember, you've got to feel to heal. Allow your body to do what it was designed to do. And even if you only do that one thing in January, I promise you, if you do that, you will start to see a light at the end of that tunnel. You will start to find your own solutions. You will start to realize, okay, they're not changing. What can I do? Not, I'm waiting for them and I'm in a braced survival response. They're not changing. Bring it back to you. The power is in your hands to not feel the way that you do about the situation with the narcissist. Not in their hands. Don't put it in their hands. You're giving your power away. So I hope this was really, really helpful one for you at the start of 2025. I'm right by your side. I know what it's like. You know, I've got so many free stuff. I've got paid, really low cost paid healing programs as well, if anybody's interested, you know, but at the end of the day, you've got to be intentional in your healing. And if you don't do anything right now, go and register for my free masterclass, the 3 essential stages of healing trauma after narcissistic abuse, because I'd love to help and support you at the start of this year, because you do need to know these, and you may think you do, you may think you know what to do, but do you really? Come and join me. So take care, my friends. I'm sending you so much love. I really, really am. And I can't wait to help and support you further into 2025.